Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Seen podcast. By special request today, I'm going to be talking about meditation. Kind of like not necessarily what it is, because I mean it's kind of obvious what it is, but I guess tools on how to get to a meditative state. A lot of people I've been asked, how do I meditate? What do I do when I meditate? What's the whole process and all of this shit? And it's like, I recommend books to people. I'm like, yo, check this book out. Look into this. And, for some reason, either it doesn't work, they don't get the books, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But either way, because this is a topic that has been, requested, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and knock it out. Now, disclaimer, this is my understanding of meditation. This is how I meditate. Like, you feel me? This is how I came to the realization of meditation and what I internalized to make it easier for me to do. You feel what I'm saying? So will it work for you? Possibly, possibly. I don't see it. I don't see why not. But there's in order to apply the art of meditation, you have to understand, somewhat of the science behind it. So I'm not going to go like heavy lecture type shit in this motherfucker, no. But I'm going to give some deep insight as to the mental, spiritual, and the physical connection to what meditation actually represents and how it all ties together. Because I do know that for the books that I did recommend, for the books that I have read on meditation, they rarely bridge the gap between the two. A lot of people think that meditation is, mainly physical, then moderately mental, and they never factor in the spiritual component behind the shit. And meditation is equally all three of these. It's physical, mental, and spiritual, because it requires stillness. Stillness is a very, very two things that meditation embodies: stillness and silence. And these are very, very difficult things to obtain at times, especially in the world that we live in now. We live in a microwave society. We live in an instant society. We live in a society of impatience, so meditation is already going to be hard on that level. But then there's other factors that play into it that keep us, from accessing our meditative state, from being able to slow our bodies down, slow our minds down, and even slow our souls down in order to truly meditate and to truly get, insight from the universe, the source, the Most High, God, Allah, Jehovah, Yeshua, whatever it is that you're calling, your higher connection, even your higher self, whatever it is that you're choosing to call it. But meditation accesses that realm, and it gets us to that point without having to be asleep, without having to, go through too much to get there. So that's just, I just want to give a quick synopsis as to what I'm going to be covering and everything. So I don't want to waste any more time. So with that being said, as always, follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Follow the Just Seen podcast at the Just Seen podcast. Follow my merchandise page at the Just Seen, at not the Just Seen merch, at Just Seen's merch. Be sure, if you're trying to transition into the plant-based lifestyle, follow the Hitting the Raw program page and get the book Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. Also, be sure to get my book, So Frail, A Reality to Black Male Masculinity, and So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity. If you have been following the podcast, I alternate between the Just Seen podcast and So Frail Conversations. And So Frail, the books will help you understand a lot more of what's being spoken on and what's being discussed in the So Frail Conversations. Also, everything is in the description of your podcast, so you can just click the links. I try to make it as available as possible. What else? That's about it. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to hop into meditation. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags, visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, first things first. If you know me, you know before I start talking about anything, I got to give a definition of some sort. Why? Because I don't want people thinking that they know what I'm talking about without knowing what I'm talking about. Like, don't assume, don't imply. Like, I'm really going to tell you exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. So for meditation, the first thing, like I said, I'm going to do is define it. And I'm going to put the definition as it's pertaining to what we're talking about. So meditation is going to be the mediation between your higher and lower self. You know, it's that intercession point that allows you to listen to you. You feel what I mean? We get so wrapped up in feeling crazy sometimes for talking to ourselves, not realizing that what we're doing is sending signals up to be received. You feel me? Whether you're calling it prayer, whether you're calling it consulting with the guides, whatever the case may be, you're speaking to something. You're speaking to a higher source or whatever it is that you call it. So you have to ask yourself, the what is it? The message loop or some shit like that, the communication loop. You have a message sent, you have a message received. So if we're sitting here sending all of these things to something to speak to it, you know, what are we doing to receive it? You feel what I mean? And so that's a very, very important question to ask, because if you're not able to receive it directly, you have to receive it from outside sources. Now, it becomes problematic, but it's not problematic, because sometimes you'll miss your message because it has to be presented a certain way. You feel what I mean? This is why, you know, if you're following a certain religion and you pray to that deity, right, you're going to get that message from something or someone affiliated with that religion and that deity. You feel me? But somebody not within that, they could very well have your message too, but you won't be able to get it because I'm not going to say blinders, but you're unable to receive the message from what you didn't send it to, in essence, if that makes sense. So, for example, I use this metaphor a lot because it really works and drives the point home. If you're seeking financial advice, right, you're not going to go to a homeless person. Or if a homeless person has financial advice for you, you're going to be reluctant to take it because they're homeless, right? So a lot of times that's what happens with our messages. You feel me? We'll pray to a certain being, or we'll speak to a certain being, but when we're confined into a certain realm, that makes that realm be the only place that we can receive the message. You feel what I mean? So when we meditate, we're able to bypass all of that shit, bypass the need to have to find that source, because, like I said, it's only going to come to you with what you're connected to the most. You feel what I mean? It's what you're connected to the most, and that's how it's going to come. And that's because if you're not meditating, it's going to have to come from an outside source, because it can't come from within. More so, if you have issues with your personal identity, you're not going to be able to listen to yourself anyway. You feel me? That was a message that I was talking about on chakras before. Chakras does tie into this a little bit, but it goes back into the podcast I was talking about chakras, where if your personal identity, which is your solar plexus, if that is off, you're not going to be able to listen to yourself anyway. So meditation really isn't going to do you any good. You feel what I'm saying? And because you've set the tone to where things have to come outside of you, you know, you have to receive things from an outside source. You feel me? Meditation is going to be very difficult. You feel me? So the purpose of meditation is to learn how to go within. It's to learn how to go within. It's to learn how to seek guidance from within. It's to learn how to hear your inner voice. You feel me? And if your inner voice is a whisper, if your inner voice is really quiet, You feel me? You're going to have to turn the volume up. But you need meditation to do that because you have to be able to sit with yourself long enough to hear it. You feel what I'm saying? So one thing that people often discuss when it comes to meditation is, the first, I guess it's so cliche, but it's like, does it have any relevance here? Because people say, well, when I start meditating, my mind goes crazy. I can't quite, that's what it's supposed to happen. See, this is why I put the connection between prayer and meditation. As prayer is basically sending the message up, meditation is sending the message down, bringing the message back down, right? So praying, whether you're actually in the prayer state, how you feel, I got to put my hands together, bow my head, close my eyes, all that shit, or just like you're speaking. That's what it is. That's why I go back to the communication point. You have to send a message and you have to receive a message, right? Meditation is receiving the message. Prayer is sending the message. Speaking is sending the message, right? So it's important that you are very mindful of the shit that you're talking about. So the reason why we say, okay, my mind is always on 100. When I decide to meditate, so many thoughts cloud my mind. Because how much shit are you talking about in a daily basis? How many things are you asking for? How many things have you prayed for on a regular basis, but you have not sat down to listen to how you're going to receive them? You feel me? That shit stays in your head because it doesn't go anywhere because you sent the message up, but you never received it. You feel me? You never pulled it back down. You feel me? And then more so, a lot of times the way the universe works, it gives you the message. But like I said, if it's not within the realm of what you're going to listen to, you'll miss the motherfucker. So it's still in your head because it's like, well, you didn't want to sit down. So I'm going to give it to you as from something that can give it to you. You feel me? And you have to listen. You have to listen. You feel me? But we get stuck on hearing people. We get stuck on hearing things and then we shut out. So we're not able to actually grasp it. So when it comes to that perspective, people say, well, my thoughts, as soon as I get ready to meditate, my mind just goes crazy. It's like, well, your mind was already sporadic. It was already erratic on that level. You feel me? And it was already on 10. But the thing is, now you're paying attention to it. And now you have so much to pay attention to. One of the dopest metaphors I've seen was like your mind prior to, like, when you're meditating, right? When you're about to meditate, your mind, you suddenly become aware of your mind being like a computer and a web browser, and you have like 1,000 tabs open, right? You didn't know you had this many tabs open because you'll click one thing and then that thing will lead you to another one. You click to another one and you got like 1,000 tabs open, but you're still only paying attention to one page because that's what's at the front of your mind, but you never closed the other ones, which means that you never received the message for the things that you spoke on. You feel what I'm saying? That makes sense. So that's what meditation does. Meditation takes you to these browsers and it says, yo, you remember, this browser from 2 years ago? You ain't never closed that motherfucker. You need to deal with this thought. You feel me? So it's normal for you to have an abundance of thoughts when you first start meditating. It's normal. So never ever feel like, oh, I'm not doing it right. I just can't quiet my mind. You're not supposed to. This is your first time doing it, or you're just now getting started. And you've had years of things where you constantly spoke on a regular basis. You spoke and you uttered certain things, but you never listened and received the shit that you spoke about. You feel what I mean? So even now this is not just big shit either. This is little shit too. Little things that you have spoken on. That's why it's like, you have to be able to be careful of the things that you speak because it stays somewhere, whether it's in your head, whether it manifests, whatever the case may be. So you have to learn how to meditate. So the thing about meditation, the first point is don't try to stop thinking. That's the first fallacy that causes everybody to fail at it. Well, I'm not going to say fail because that's a negative word, but not be as successful as they would like to be. Everybody wants to and then like I said, we live in a microwave society. So everybody wants to, my first day meditating, I want to be able to sit for an hour. No, you can't. And you won't. You feel me? You'll be lucky if you get 5 minutes out of it because the thoughts are overwhelming. So you have to gradually build that shit up. You feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to meditating, you have to be able to listen. Now, this is not to say force shit into your head that, okay, it's me talking to myself. Home, I got clarity now, I'm done. No, it's not like that. It's just not like that. Chanting is cool. Chanting is cool, but everybody doesn't have to chant. Chanting is like not necessarily a prerequisite. People say, okay, you chant, you say om, you say ah, you say ing, you say different things to stimulate certain chakras. That is cool to center you. You feel me? But it's not a prerequisite. It's not mandatory. You do not have to chant. Chanting is one of the easiest ways to block out everything and focus on one centralized point. You feel what I'm saying? But when the thoughts are overwhelming you, sometimes you can't chant. You just have to listen to the thought. You feel me? And let that come to you, and then peel back the layers like an onion. You feel what I'm saying? So the reason why I said there's a mind, body, and soul complex to it, because your physical body is affected just as much as your mental and your spiritual bodies as well. You feel what I'm saying? One of the reasons why it's hard for us to meditate and be calm is because whether we're willing to, acknowledge it or not, society has fucked us up to a point where we're in a state of fight or flight response, which is the sympathetic body function. You feel me? The nervous system has two points to it. It has the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system, right? So the sympathetic system is your fight or flight response, and your parasympathetic system is your rest and digest. Most of us are in a sympathetic mode on a regular basis. Late for work, agitated all the time, different thing, whatever the case may be, we're always in sympathetic mode for the most part, which is fight or flight. So when you're in fight or flight response, you don't have time to digest your thoughts. You don't have time to sit and relax and take in anything. Parasympathetic mode is rest and digest, and it's not just the physical digesting of food. It's not just physically resting. It's mentally resting and mentally digesting. It's spiritually resting and spiritually digesting as well. Just on the same side of that, sympathetic mode is physical fight or flight response, mental fight or flight response, spiritual fight or flight response. And when we're in that state, a lot of times our mental fight or flight response makes us shut down. You feel what I mean? That's why it's like, if you're trying to meditate when you're in a sympathetic state of mind, it's either I'm going to do it or I'm not. Either when my thoughts come, I'm either going to fight them or I'm going to run from them. I'm not going to let them digest. I'm not going to rest. You feel what I'm saying? So the nervous system, it's comprised of that point. So when you're meditating, you have to learn how to shift your body. Like don't get me wrong, they're autonomic functions. You feel me? However, you're able to control them, right? Because the ability to control your nervous system and the ability to control the nerves that move through your body from the mental and spiritual aspect, you feel me, is through breathing. So now breathing is an automatic function. Breathing is an automatic function, but it's the only autonomic function that we're able to control. If you want to stop breathing, you can hold your breath right now. But breathing is still an automatic function. It goes on without your conscious thought. You're always going to breathe. You feel what I mean? Anything that you can do while you sleep is basically an autonomic function. But breathing is the one thing that you're able to control. You feel me? And that is how we're best able to center for meditation through the mind, body, and soul. Because the breathing now is regulating to control all of those. So this is why they say when you get angry, you take deep breaths. They want you to take deep breaths. The reason why that is because it not only causes you to control the emotions and everything that's around you, it controls the different realms of the mind and the soul, right? The reason why. So when we look at it from a physical perspective, the reason why is because when you're meditating, right, every inhale and every exhale causes the expansion of the diaphragm. It's very important because the diaphragm sits right above where the solar plexus energy is. Or they might be like right there by each other. You feel what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. As I said, solar plexus goes with your personal identity. But typically, when we're breathing on a regular basis, because we're in sympathetic mode, we breathe into our chest. You feel me? Athletes breathe into their chest because you need that quick oxygen in that fast state. You feel me? That's why, we're typically breathing into our chest. For us, like when you look at men typically on a regular basis, we breathe through our chest. You feel what I mean? Like we stick our chest out, shit like that, whatever the case may be. But everybody as a whole, when you're stuck in sympathetic mode, you're not breathing down into your diaphragm. You're not breathing down and expanding your stomach. You're breathing in and expanding your chest. That's important because now you're not only reducing your oxygen levels, but you're also reducing the nervous function that incorporates going with the diaphragm and the solar plexus to calm it down. If you pay attention to when a baby sleeps, their stomach expands. Babies have not been faced with all of this shit yet. More or less, that's a different conversation. I can go in on that. But more or less, babies have not been fucked up to where they now breathe in their chest because they're in sympathetic mode all the time. they're able to channel and be, okay, I'm in parasympathetic mode because I'm resting and digesting, I'm sleeping. But if you watch a baby sleep, their belly expands and goes back down. That's naturally how we're supposed to breathe. We're not supposed to be breathing into our chest every single day of every single moment of our lives. You feel what I'm saying? So the purpose of that is because when you breathe down into your diaphragm expands, it stimulates your solar plexus. But the reason why that is from the physical aspects is because connected to your diaphragm is what's considered the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is, I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say that the vagus nerve is cranial nerve 10. I think it's cranial nerve 10. So it's a nerve that it's in your brain, and it's the longest nerve in our body. It runs from our brain all the way down to our diaphragm. It bypasses all of that shit. It bypasses the heart, the lungs, everything, and then it hits your diaphragm, like running down. That is the longest nerve. So when we're inhaling, and when we start to slow our bodies down, now we're able to control the nervous function of that from the diaphragm up, and that sends the impulses back to the brain to say calm down. This is why they tell you when you're breathing, you breathe in deeply into your stomach and you expand your belly, and then you exhale until it's all the way gone. So now when meditating, this type of breathing, which is called diaphragmatic breathing, this breathing is important to center you while you're meditating, simply because it calms you down. It shifts you from sympathetic mode to parasympathetic mode. So now I have a homie who every time she'll be like, yo, every time I try to meditate and I start breathing, I get sleepy. The reason why is because you have now shifted your body into rest and digest mode, but you rarely rest and digest. We literally sleep through sympathetic mode. That is not supposed to happen. This is why, like, the slightest sound, we can be knocked the fuck out, snoring, but the slightest sound can wake us up because we're not in rest or digest mode. We're in sympathetic mode, which is a fight or flight response. This is why it's so easy to wake us up. Anybody can be woken up just by the sound of a door going off, or the TV, the changing of the TV, because your body is in sympathetic mode, so it's always alert. Feel me? But rest and digest, you ever seen somebody who's like, yo, you can sleep through a storm because they're able to sleep through rest and digest mode. But again, that's just a sidebar. So when it comes to our breathing and centering and starting with the meditation, that's how we have to do. In order to relax our nerves, we have to relax the longest nerve that we have. Well, one of the longest nerves, the longest traveling nerve, I'll say that, which is the vagus nerve. You know, you start to stimulate that within the diaphragm because that is the center of our bodies. That is the center of our body. So once we start from the core and we center down, we radiate, the rest of our body can calm down. You dig what I'm saying? The rest of our body is able to calm down. So breathing operates also like a pendulum. And so when I was talking about chanting, right? You know, you have the ohms and all the cliches, but this is going to sound oxymoronic, but it's really not. And if you know, you know. But silence is the loudest thing you'll never hear. You feel what I'm saying? And silence is found in the pauses between the breath. You feel what I'm saying? Silence has an energy behind it. Silence has, you know, it's like, silence is the point of, if you're swinging a pendulum, it's the point when kinetic energy and potential energy are the same, and vice versa. So it's like, you ever been on a swing, and as you're going back and forth on the swing, you're getting up higher and higher. That pause, when you go all the way up to your highest point just before you change, that energy that you feel, if you could think back to it, the energy that you feel just before you change, that's what silence is. That's what the same energy that silence is. And that energy is found when you're meditating, but when you're focusing on your breath and when you have a rhythmic breath. You feel what I'm saying? So when you're breathing down into your diaphragm, you want to breathe as natural as possible, but you want to be as conscious of your breath as you can as well, because you have to expand your stomach and you have to allow it to contract, and you have to let that rhythm flow. Don't force it and say, okay, let me take in all the air that I can and then let it go. Nah, be logical. Take in how much your lungs can take, but try to expand your diaphragm. You feel me? And your belly. You'll feel it. You'll feel the pressure as you do it, because it's pressing down onto where your solar plexus energy is residing at, right? So that breathing begins the process of slowing down everything. You feel me? It slows down your blood flow, it slows down your heart, slows down your thoughts. You feel what I'm saying? So when it starts to slow down, this now goes into the next point, because now you're centering. You feel me? You're centering into your vessel. The first thing that you're going to start to notice is that your body is going to dissolve. You know, reason why, like I said, meditation is mind, body, and soul connection, simply because the first point of the physical aspect when you're meditating is that you have to sit still. That's what I was talking about, stillness and silence. are the quintessential pieces of meditation. So you can get the silence. You can feel and hear silence with your breathing. But then you have to maintain stillness. You feel me? When you're meditating, literally every muscle in your body. This is one of the dopest things about it, because at the same time, every muscle in your body is moving, but every muscle in your body is still. Like, that's what stillness is. Stillness is when movement is happening so rapidly that nothing is happening. I know it seems crazy, like, yo, I'm not moving. But the moment you start meditating, you want to move. I don't know why the fuck this shit is like this. You feel me? I can't even explain. Like, you could be sitting down watching TV, minding your own business, not even paying attention. You'll never feel the urge to move. But the moment you decide that you want to meditate, you're fighting yourself not to move. The reason why is that's because literally every muscle in your body is simultaneously moving at one time. But the stillness is that it has reached a point where it's no longer, where it appears that it's no longer moving, but your conscious control to make it not move is where that energy comes from. That makes sense. It's almost like if you take a pendulum and you put it between like two small walls or something. Better yet, the pendulum thing where it's like you got it got 5 little balls or whatnot, and then as you hit one, only the 2 outer balls hit, but the ones in the middle, the movement transferred through them. Just because you didn't see those move doesn't mean the movement never happened. So that's kind of what it's like. You feel what I'm saying? That's kind of what it's like when we're meditating and we happen to keep our body still. When we're holding a mudra, when we're holding a certain, like, to be aware of your body means that you have to make it still. You feel me? And you can't move. So forcing yourself not to move requires you to use every muscle, because our muscles are, most of our muscles are antagonistic to one another. You feel what I'm saying? You know, you have extensors and you have flexors for the most part. So you have to make your extensors and your flexors operate at the same capacity in order to keep yourself still. You feel me? I think I probably could have said that shit first, and that would have made a lot more sense. But anyway, we vibing. You feel me? So those are the 2 points that meditation is trying to achieve: stillness and silence. You feel what I'm saying? That's why it's best. They say the best hours to meditate are, first thing in the morning before the earth wakes up, and, at the end of the day at night when everything is calmed down. You feel what I'm saying? But at night, I don't recommend meditating at night when you're just starting, because you're going to go to sleep. You're going to go to sleep because that shit's going to calm you down, and the breathing aspect of it all is going to bring your sympathetic mode into alignment. You're going to get knocked the fuck out. You're just going to pass out. Like, you not pass out of bed. Like, you're just going to get sleepy. You're going to feel yourself get very, very tired because your body has now shifted from sympathetic mode down to parasympathetic mode, which is your rest and digest state. So that's something. So back to the breathing. So we're breathing down into the diaphragm. As I said, it's connected to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs to the brain. This is where things start to get important, because now, well, it's always been important, but your breathing is your quintessential piece, because now with your breathing, in relaxing your physical being, your body, now you're starting to relax your nerves. Your nerves are physical. However, they do have mental and spiritual components to them, because each nerve is associated with a certain dermatome, which is basically a skin region of your body, and a certain innervating functioning of a nerve. You feel me? But they're all electrical impulses. You feel what I'm saying? And they are connected to your the autonomic functions of your mind. So when you have certain impulses to move or do a certain thing, you don't think that you're thinking about it because it's so normal and so commonplace. You don't tell yourself, hey, move my finger. But at the end of the day, that's how your mind is connected to it. So with the breathing aspect, you now still your muscles, right? Your physical body now stills. When it stills your muscles, it calms down the electrical impulses that are occurring within your nerves. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get to the hardest part of meditation and why it's so hard, because of basically all of the nerves in our head. We have 12 cranial nerves, and those are the nerves that keep everybody from meditating. But when you do your breathing, the first thing is literally going to start from the floor up. It's going to work its way up. So your feet, your shin, your legs, all of that is going to, as you go up, you'll feel those dissolve, because those are easier to take away those are easier to relax. You feel what I mean? So as you're doing your breathing, as you're focusing, as you're centering within your meditation, it's calming your entire being down. You feel me? So literally I say roughly about from the neck down. I say from the shoulders down, because the moment the moment you step over that, the shoulders start to get tense. You feel me? The shoulders and up start to get tense because the cranial nerves 1 through 12, they all affect from the shoulders up. You feel what I'm saying? I want to say cranial nerve 12 starts with is connected to the trapezius muscles and the innervation line. So the center of your back, the high center of your back, you'll start to want to shrug your shoulders and, tense up. And that's when you know that that's when you know that you're about to start getting into the meditative state, because you'll start to feel the tension of your shoulders. Let that shit go. Feel me? You gotta let that shit go. But here's how breathing is important. So the more that you're able to create your conscious breath, breathing into your diaphragm, the more you'll calm your body down. So cranial nerves, like I said, cranial nerves 1 through 12, they go from your shoulders up. So when that happens, this is how we know we're in a state of sympathetic mode. Start breathing and focus on your center of your breath. Before you even start to worry about your thoughts, worry about your physical body, right? You can do this right now. Do this little exercise right now as I go over it, right? Relax your shoulders. Let them drop. That's cranial nerve 12, right? We're going to start from 12 and we're going to go up to 1, right? So the first little, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to name every cranial nerve. I'm only going to name the important ones that go with what the hell I'm talking about, all right? So cranial nerve 12, you're going to relax your shoulders. Let them drop. If you just had to let your shoulder drop, that means you are in sympathetic mode right now because your shoulders are up. They're tense. You feel me? That is the first point to let you know that, something's going on. You're in sympathetic mode. So let your shoulders drop, right? If you're not talking right now, if you're just listening, drop your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Didn't even know that you keep your tongue at the roof of your mouth, did you? You know what I mean? But you're in sympathetic mode because that is a function of fight or flight response. You feel what I'm saying? Relax your jaws. Feel me? Relax your jaws. Chances are, if you drop your tongue from the top of your mouth, then your jaw started to relax as well too. But unclench your cheeks. Relax all of that, and breathe while you're doing this. With every inhale and exhale, start to let your shoulders drop. Drop your tongue from the top of your mouth. Now, when you drop your tongue from the top of your mouth, it's gonna feel weird. This is how commonplace it is. This is how much we stay in sympathetic mode, to where that energy is there. You feel me? It feels like it's gonna feel like your mouth is about to open, but it's not. You feel what I'm saying? So, drop your tongue from the top of your from the roof of your mouth. You know what I mean? Unclench your teeth. Let your jaws loose a little bit. Feel me? What's the next one? Relax your cheekbones. Well, not your cheekbones, the muscles around your cheekbones. You feel me? Let it loose. Let that loose. Unsquint your eyes. And sometimes we don't even think that we're squinting our eyes, but when you're in sympathetic mode, your eyes are so focused because you have to be alert to everything. But relax your eye muscles. The eyelids are around your eye muscles. You feel what I mean? Unwrinkle your forehead. Unwrinkle your forehead and relax your eyebrows. You feel me? Like, you literally feel all that shit releasing. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Unwrinkle your forehead. And then from the time you unwrinkle your forehead, literally, I can't really describe how to do this shit, but it's a practice that really does help as well. Release this tension in your scalp. Relax your scalp too. So now we just went from the shoulders to the head, and you just felt, if you did the exercise, and whether you felt it or not, but you felt how much tension you have within just the exterior of your head, which is your face and your shoulders. The exterior. Now you have nerves that are on the inside too. You have the optic nerve, you have the otic nerve, you have your vestibular cochlear nerve. You have the nerves that affect the inner ear, the inner eye, the different things on the inside of your body. So if on the outside that shell is tense, it's tense on the inside too. So now, once you start to relax the outer side, the outer surface of it, now you can go in to relax the inner surface of it, to relax your brain. You feel me? The moment you're able to do that consistently and start to relax, your thoughts will slow down. All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket, so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback, so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield, so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand, so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push, so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARANTEEN. Your thoughts will slow down. And your thoughts will slow down because of the mind, body, and soul connection. When you're able to release the tension in your nerves, when you're able to relax the nerves of your entire being, then you're able to relax the nerves that are associated with your head, which then, by relaxing those nerves, you're reducing the amount of impulses that have to go back and forth between each one. Then your thoughts, when they come, it's not, you're able to actually have a clear space in your head. You feel me? Back to the breathing point. So all of this is connected because from the center of the brain, you still have cranial nerve 10 that runs down to the diaphragm. And that is a stimulating point that helps to start to slow all of this down. That's why breathing is so important. Feel me? They tell you, okay, yeah, you want to breathe deeply so you can get oxygen to the brain. But in addition to getting oxygen to the brain, you also want to be able to stimulate the nerve impulses within the brain. You feel what I mean? So now we'll go forward. So that's just the beginning parts of meditation. We're not even getting to the actual dealing with your thoughts and shit yet. But you have to physically be able to calm your body down. Now, this is why I'm saying when you first start meditating, you're going to get very fucking sleepy. Don't get discouraged at that shit. You're going to get you're going to yawn. You're going to want to move. You're going to do all that shit, but you're going to start getting sleepy because now your body is now starting to transition into parasympathetic mode, which is rest and digest. You don't rest. We don't rest. Meditation teaches us and it helps us rest, but we don't rest on a regular basis. We may sleep for 8 hours a day. We may sleep for 6 hours, but we're not resting. We're not getting a full rest. You feel me? To where our entire being has been calmed down. You feel what I'm saying? Our entire being has been calmed down because we're in a fight or flight response. You feel me? So this is why a lot of times when you're in a fight or flight response too, another point of that is that your vessels constrict. You feel me? Rest and digest causes your vessels to expand, which gives you improved blood flow, increased blood flow. You feel me? With increased blood flow, then increases oxygen to your brain. Oxygen to your brain means clearer thoughts. You feel me? But when you're not having that, when you're having that constricted blood flow, and then with the shit that we eat, it blocks the arteries and shit. A lot of the blood flow it fucks with our thoughts. But anyway, that's not here or there because I can easily segue into something different. So now when we consider that from the meditative standpoint, that's what breathing is for. That's the purpose of breathing, is to relax our nerves. You feel me? Every day, if meditation is what you want to do, is what you want to get in and you want to try, first thing you have to do is learn to relax your body. Like I said, it's easy to do from our feet up to our shoulders, but it's our shoulders and shoulders up that we don't even consider relaxing, that we don't even think about. You feel what I'm saying? But you have, like, the moment you drop your shoulders, you start to feel everything else start to release. And then you just go up from there. Reducing your face, your eyes, your forehead, your eyebrows, even your nose. Unwrinkle your nose. You feel me? I got a natural mean mug. People tell me all the time, they be like, smile. I'm like, no, fuck out my face. I'm not upset, but I just have that much tension. I've always had that much tension in my face. But, it comes from being in a sympathetic mode. The whole concept of a resting bitch face. Yeah, women that got the resting bitch face, they in sympathetic mode like a motherfucker. They just need to relax. You feel me? But it's hard to relax in today's society with all of the shit that we got going on anyway. So it's like people that have that mean mug on them. It's like, yo, I'm not mad. Ain't nothing wrong with me. It's just my sympathetic mode keeps me this tense. from my neck up. So everything about me is like that. Everything about my face appears that way. So it's never you're angry or you're upset or you're mad, but you just have a lot of tension within the cranial nerves of your head, which keeps everything tight. You feel me? Just gotta relax, breathe a little bit. You feel what I'm saying? So from there, now we can get into the mystical side. You feel me? The namaste shit. You feel me? So that's the physical aspect. You have to learn to calm it down. You feel what I'm saying? So now, this now relates to, from the physical, you now bridge the gap between the Kundalini energy and, the chakras and everything. The purpose of meditation, as I said, is for you to calm your mind, body, and soul down so that your energy can flow through your chakras evenly. You feel me? So the Kundalini energy, I refer to it personally as the Uraeus energy because that's what I learned it as, and that's what my ancestors called it. You feel me? However, Kundalini is the conventional term everybody seems to know about. But the Kundalini is the energy that they say sits at the base of your spine. It sits down in your perineum. The reason that is the case, but you have to also, now we have to run the energies concurrent. We have to run the physical with the spiritual part to it. So the Kundalini is that energy that sits there. However, it goes through each one of the plexuses of the nervous system. That energy that they're talking about, it sits at the base of your spine. All of your energy comes down to that area. You feel what I'm saying? So it's on you to take that energy and move it back up. So you have to move it through the bases of your spine. This is why when they tell you, when you're sitting in a meditative state, they tell you that, you want to sit erect, straight up, because you want to have an even flow from your spinal cord. You feel me? Not necessarily your vertebral column or your vertebral column, however you pronounce it, tomato, whatever. But your spinal column, your spinal cord is where your nerves are sitting and where the impulses come from. So when meditating, you want to send that energy from the base of your spine all the way back up to your brain. You feel what I'm saying? So like I said, the breathing is the intermediary between the point because it gets down to your solar plexus, but then you have what's below that. So this is why you have the levels of the root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, brow, and crown. You feel what I'm saying? In order for you to be able to move your energy successfully through all these, your body has to be relaxed. It has to be relaxed. You feel what I'm saying? So in relaxing, you'll take your energy you take your Kundalini energy from the base of your spine. And as you're breathing you're doing your diaphragmatic breathing, you're now able to take the energy from the base of your spine up back to your brain. So now, the question is how you do this, right? To do this, hold on, before I get into how to do that part, I'm skipping a major step. So now, you're breathing, you're calm, your body's relaxed. Now your mind is active. But now you're able to focus on your mind. When the thoughts come to your mind, do not try to stop them. Do not try to quiet them. Deal with them. The reason why you have a lot on your mind, the reason why a lot of thoughts come to your head when you start to meditate is because it's time for you to sort them out. It's time for you to find the message for what it is that you asked for within that thought. Now, like I said, the universe doesn't, I always say this, the universe doesn't give us what we want. It never gives us what we want. Contrary to what people think, it's like, yo, you ask and you shall receive, blah, 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 blah. That's true. However, it responds to what we speak about the most. You feel what I'm saying? So I use this as a perfect example. Women that I know constantly say they're tired of dealing with fuckboys, but all they talk about is how men are fuckboys. So the universe thinks you want a fuckboy. It doesn't think that you want a good man all of a sudden. It's just like, oh, this is what you always talking about. I know you don't like it. I know that it's keep fucking you over, but this is what when I was young, I always mention this, but it just somehow ties into the affirmation. I had a song, I love the song Problems. I love bad bitches, that's my problem. That was literally my problem, and I literally loved bad bitches when I was younger. That was an affirmation that I affirmed. So what did the universe send to me? Bad bitches. Bad bitches. And that's very, very dangerous water because bad bitches ain't always good. You feel me? Bad bitches ain't always good. But that's what it is. So people think praying is as simple as every time I pray, I'm on my knees and I'm bowed and I'm praying. No. Every word you utter, every thought that enters your head that you don't speak out verbally, every thought that enters your head that you do speak out verbally is a prayer. It is an utterance. You feel what I'm saying? It is an utterance, and it's going to come into fruition in some way, shape, or form. So you got to be careful of that. So every time you speak these things, when you meditate, There will be thoughts that come up that you be like, why am I thinking about that? Because you spoke it at one point in time and now it's time to deal with it. Now it's time to sort it out. You feel what I'm saying? So when those thoughts come to you, don't try to dismiss them. That's the first rule of meditation that, contradicts with everything. Everybody say, oh, I got to have a quiet mind. No, the fuck you don't. You can't have a quiet mind. If you have a quiet mind, you're dead. You feel what I'm saying? But when the thoughts come to you, whatever the thought may be, you have to sit with it. Sit with that thought and peel back the layers from it. You feel me? So that way you can dive deeper into it. One of the greatest practices and shit, like one of my homies, she once asked me, like, yo, how is it that you're able to know so much? And I'm like, whenever I learn something, I meditate on it. You feel me? I don't just sit, like, when I sit with that thought, you feel me? Or whatever it is that I just learned, I let the universe tell me what the fuck it means. And then it peels back the layers for me as I sit with that thought. You feel what I mean? So a lot of times when that does happen though, we start to, it seems like we're being diverted. It's like, well, I started with this thought and then now I moved on to this thought. And now it's like, because those things are interconnected. This thought is like the path leading you to this one. Eventually it's going to get you to the answer that you're looking for. But you have to learn how to sit with the thoughts and let what happens happen. You feel me? Don't try to say, okay, quiet the mind. Don't say shit. Don't think about shit. I'm thinking about shit. Get the shit that I'm thinking about out of my head. Don't do that. If fucking candy comes to your mind, sit with that thought of candy. You feel me? Because it could peel back something deeper. You feel me? A perfect example and the perfect thing is when songs come to your head when you're meditating. When you're getting a song in your head, when a song comes to you and it's a specific lyric, pay attention to that shit. Then sit with that and then let that, it's like, oh man, I'm thinking about music and this is coming to me because the universe now knows, okay, this is the only way your ass listens to me. The universe, the source, God, Allah, Jehovah, Yeshua, whatever deity, whatever it is that you serve, higher self, lower self, however, you feel me, is going to say, okay, this is the only way you're going to listen to me. So here you go. You feel me? Now, don't try to dismiss it because it's music and you think it's nonsense. No, perfect example. It was about 2 years ago. I was rushing through life trying to get things, solidified a certain way. And I'm like, yo, I got to grind. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I'm meditating one day and NDRE song Slow Down came into my head. And the very part that came into my head was, you got your hands in the air with your feet on the gas. You about to wreck your future running from the past. I'm like, why the fuck am I listening to me? Man, I ain't trying to hear that shit, bro. That's fuck. You feel me? That's my mindset. It's like, yo, let me stop listening. No, that song came right back again. So I sat there and I said, okay, let me peel back the layers of these lyrics. I sat there with those lyrics that were there. And then it started to show me everything that was going on around me in real time. Like, this is not like some fabricated mystical shit. Like, this is like, it showed me I said, oh shit, I am doing a lot right now. And I do need to slow the fuck down. I am doing way too much. You feel me? But I still didn't listen. I was still hard-headed. Like, you feel me? I ain't gonna lie about it. I was still hard-headed. Right after that, I got into a car wreck. You feel me? That year, I think I got into 2 car wrecks that year. Like, my driving record is scot clean. Like, I had, like, from the time I started driving up until that point, I had never been in an accident, no traffic tickets or anything. You feel me? Within a 6-month time frame, I got hit twice. You feel what I'm saying? And I was being told. And in my meditative state, the messages were coming to me. But because I meditate, those things come to me. But then it's like, if you're not meditating, things have to come from you. To me, like I said, they got to come from an outside source. So when they come from that outside source, you feel me? If you really fuck with that source or not, you might not get your message. You feel what I'm saying? So in the meditating with the thought, sitting with that thought, that's how it came about. So when you're sitting and you're meditating and a thought comes to your head, don't dismiss it. No matter how frivolous it could be, don't dismiss it, sit with it, because it's going to start to peel back the layers that's going to lead you to something else. It's going to lead you to something that you really got to see every time. You feel what I'm saying? So in order to get to that point, though, you have to be able to calm your body down, which is the relaxation of your nerves through breathing. You feel what I'm saying? So now, like I said, so that's what it is. That's the part that I skipped about the meditation and dealing with, the thoughts that come to your mind. Don't dismiss them shits. Never run from them. Never try to feel like I got to quiet my mind. You feel what I mean? Never, ever try to feel like that. But take meditation. I have to listen to what my mind is giving me. Whatever my mind is putting in my head, I need to pay attention to that. and sit with it, deal with it, peel back the layers. You feel me? That's how you get to the point of being able to meditate for 30, 40 minutes, because you're paying attention to what the hell is coming to your mind. It's hard as hell to meditate for 5 minutes straight when you're trying to silence what's in your mind, when you're trying to stop the thoughts from coming. That's very hard to do. But when you're getting to that point where you're meditating and you're dealing with the thoughts, oh yeah, you can get a good 30, 45 minutes out. Easy. And not even know it. Time just like, you're like, oh, but then you come out with the revelation like, oh shit. Damn. Like, if you follow me on Instagram, you feel me? I guess this is the one time I reveal one of my many secrets of the world. If you follow me on Instagram, right? Whenever I have a real deep post with a long caption, that came from meditation. The thought that is the post is what came to my mind while I was meditating. The caption is the revelation that came out of that. You feel what I'm saying? So that right there is my proof that if you meditate the right way and you really just calm your mind, you listen to your thoughts, you get what the fuck you're supposed to be getting out of it. But you feel me? It's different because like it's on the universal thing, because like people will be affected by what I'm talking about and shit. And it's like, yo, that shit, yo, you gave that to me right when I needed it. I call them downloads, but that's what it was. But anyway, the point is that when you're meditating and these things are coming to you and these thoughts come to you, just sit with them. You feel me? So now that segues into the more actual spiritual point to it. Like I said, when I was going back into the Kundalini. So we understand how the nerves are pretty much consistent with the body, right? So from the nervous system, the Kundalini now is the energetic force spiritually that now has to be manifested physically. You feel what I'm saying? So each one of your nerves, every nerve in your body, in some way, shape, or form is going to be connected to your energy, because they're connected to different plexuses of the body that give you what the chakra energies are. So you have 7 within your body. You have the root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, brow, and crown. And each one of these has a certain plexus that goes with them, a certain network of nerves that goes with those. You feel what I'm saying? So when your Kundalini energy sits at the base of your spine, a deep level of meditative practice to learn how to master the abilities of your mind is to control your Kundalini energy. And it naturally sits at the bottom. So the best way to bring it back up is to move it up to the brain. Now, this is done through diaphragmatic breathing. And just for lack of a better term, and it's because it's easily to understand, Kegelen. So, I mean, they don't have a male version for it, but I know women do Kegelen and shit. But when you Kegel and you squeeze that perineal muscle tight, you'll feel that energy surge. That is the Kundalini energy, and that is sitting at the base of your spine. So when you're stimulating that energy, you force it and focus it back up to your brain. And this is done by breathing. You're now channeling the energy up. So when you're able to channel your Kundalini energy up, now, if you have not, go back and listen to my podcast on chakras. If you have not unblocked your chakras, you're not going to get that high up. Your energy is not going to get that high up. You feel what I'm saying? And wherever it stops and wherever you feel a burning pressure, that's your blockage. You can feel it at your lower spine. You can feel it in the middle of your back. You can feel it at your neck. You can feel it in the middle of your head. You feel me? But wherever it stops at and wherever it feels like a burning sensation there, and it feels like it's just a burning sensation of energy. It's not like it's fire burning, but you'll know what I'm talking about if you feel it. It's like that's a blockage. That's where your energy is blocked at. You feel me? That's what needs to be unblocked. If you feel it at the base of your spine, if you're not even able to feel it move, you got to start to clear your root chakra out. This means dealing with your survival, dealing with, I ain't gonna go into the individual chakras, but because I've already done that. But wherever it can't rise through or pass through, you need to clear that blockage out. You feel what I'm saying? So meditation is going to teach you how to control that energy. So now you know what you need to unblock. You feel me? And then when you're able to get to a point where you can put it up to the middle of your brain, to your Christ consciousness area, to the top of your head, when you're able to channel your energy back up there, then you'll start to expand your mind more. So, like I said, that's the spiritual aspect, but now we're going to connect it to the physical aspect too. Within the center of your brain, which is where your pineal gland sits, is what's called the third ventricle, right? Within the third ventricle of the brain, cerebral spinal fluid is made. Cerebral spinal fluid literally runs from the third ventricle of the brain down to the base of the spine and then ultimately back up. You can control this cycle. You feel me? You can control the cycle of the cerebral, because it naturally is going to move down. That's the natural flow of it. but you can control it and move it back up. It's produced there, and then it's secreted down the base of the spinal cord, and it goes all the way down to what's considered the cauda equina, which is it's like a string of nerve fibers at the base of the spine or whatnot. It looks like horsehair. That's what I call it. Cauda equina, it means horse. But anyway, the energy now goes down. So when you're using your Kundalini energy, you could take it back up, and then you put it back. You recirculate that cerebral spinal fluid back up to the third ventricle of the brain. But what you're actually doing is recycling the energy. That's the whole Kundalini thing. So when it comes to the meditation, right, your mind, the abilities of your mind is to calm all of that down and send yourself into the parasympathetic mode. And then when you're able to do that, like, that's how you can enter to the different realms of consciousness. Like Christ consciousness, I don't want motherfuckers to take away from this, like, yo, this shit is some mystical shit. And now I'm in a state of I don't even know what to say, kind of state it is. But, the fifth dimensional shit, stars and quasars and all that shit, it's really not like that. It's really not like that, in essence. But it teaches, like, the meditative faculty calms your mind down enough so that way you can easily connect to your spiritual realm from your physical aspect. I said this in So Frail, A Reality of Black Male Masculinity. The mind is the bridge between the soul and the body. Although they form a synergy and they all work together, the mind is the bridge between the soul and the body. If you do not have control over your motherfucking mind, that connection between your physical and your material world and the spiritual and immaterial world is going to be hard to bridge. Now, the universe is not going to be selfish and stingy and be like, okay, I'm not going to give you this, that, and the third because there's a blockage there. The shit that you need in your life, you're going to have. But your wants, the wants that you want to manifest, they're going to be hard. They're going to be few and far in between if your mind cannot, if the bridge is damaged. If the bridge is damaged, the spiritual and the physical can't cross together. You feel me? So the meditation strengthens the mind. It strengthens the ability for the mind to be able to tap and access the spiritual side, as well as being able to operate and function on the physical side. The two got to run hand in hand. You feel me? But then now you can go deeper into it. Within the mind, you have the left and the right brain, creativity and your creativity and logic. Those two things, when they start to run concurrent with each other, then you have tapped into the balance between the physical and the spiritual world, the balance between the material and immaterial world, the balance between the tangible and the intangible. You feel me? But it can't be one or the other. But your mind has to be intact and it has to be on point to do that shit. And to do that, you have to meditate. You have to meditate. And meditation is actually very fun over time. You feel me? Because when you decide, okay, I need to process this thought. Like once you start to practice with the thoughts that are already there, all of the tabs that you got up, start closing the motherfuckers out. Like once you get into the point and start tapping, like once you start to see how simple it can be, when you need guidance, when you need a vision, when you need something to be clarified for you, you now know how to calm your body down, go into your mental space, go into your meditative state and ask the question. You ask the question and you sit and let the thoughts come to you. As the thoughts come to you, it'll start to peel back the layers and unfold and you'll have clarity. As they say, seek and ye shall find. That is the seeking they're talking about. You'll find every time. You feel me? And that way the answer comes directly to you. And in that same process, it teaches you how to trust your inner voice. A lot of us can't trust our inner voices because the inner voice that we have has come from somebody else who we don't trust. Not only somebody who we didn't trust, they may have abused us, they may have damaged us, they may speak to us in a negative way. So if they've spoken to us that way, our inner voice is just as harsh, it's just as rude, it's just as disrespectful at times as that. So meditating is going to allow you to start to be softer with yourself, allow your inner voice to start being softer. You feel me? Like if you've ever said this to yourself, like if you ever made a mistake or something, like, yo, my dumb ass did X, Y, and Z, you have a harsh inner voice. It's joking, it's funny, and sometimes you're like, yo, my dumb ass did. But it's crazy. When you're able to consciously affirm that your dumb ass did something, your inner voice speaks to you in a negative way. So when you're in a meditative state, you're not really going to like what you receive. Because it's going to give it to you how your inner voice has to present it to you and how your inner voice is known for speaking to you. You feel what I mean? So when you're meditating and your inner voice kicks in, if your inner voice isn't positive, learn how to start to deal with deal with that and learn how to start speaking more softer to yourself, more kinder to yourself. And then your actual, the things that you actually receive, that you're supposed to receive, you'll be more apt to take them in because you're not shunning them. If you have a negative inner voice, you're not listening to yourself. You feel me? If you have a negative inner voice, you are not listening to yourself, and you will not listen to yourself. So people wonder, like, why is it that, I can't take my own advice? Because you have a fucked up inner voice. You feel me? This is from experience. I had to learn how to get over this, because I can give people sound advice and I'll be like, yo, do X, Y, and Z, but I can't take that very same advice because my inner voice was fucked up. My inner voice was against me because of the inner voices of the people that, upbringing, whatever the case may be. How you hear people respond to you is how you learn to respond to yourself. You feel me? So if and then in the actual world, you shut down as a human being when people speak to you in a way that is against, peace for you. You feel what I'm saying? So if you're used to shutting down to people who speak this way to you, what do you think is going to happen when you speak to yourself this way? You feel what I'm saying? So that's another point to consider when you're meditating. When your thoughts come and you start to get clarity and shit like that, do not, as much as you can, when that inner voice, if you have that negative inner voice and it kicks in, try to silence it. Try to silence it. Take what they're saying, take what your inner voice is saying, because it could very well be right. But at the same time, start with this mantra when the negative thoughts come in from that inner voice. Say, I apologize for I apologize to speaking to myself this way. You feel me? Say this when you say this. Don't just shut yourself down and say, I apologize to speaking to myself this way. You feel me? The apology is going to start the healing. The healing is going to start to change the inner voice. The inner voice is going to make the meditation so much easier. You feel what I mean? It's going to make the meditation so much easier. So that's a little bit of a tangent, but it still ties in, because now we look at meditation as not a point of silencing the mind or calming the mind or anything like that, but it's dealing with what the mind is presenting to me. You feel what I'm saying? When you're able to deal with what the mind is presenting to me, when you're able to calm your body down fully, when you're able to truly connect on that side a lot better, then you're able to receive a lot of the messages that you're supposed to get from the universe, from God, from Allah, from Jehovah, from Buddha, from Krishna, from whatever it is, whatever one of those, even your higher self, if that's what you're calling it, the source, the universe, all of that. You're able to get the messages you're supposed to get, because now you're able to speak to yourself and you're able to listen to yourself to get exactly what you need.
And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes Merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes Merch and get your merchandise right now.
All right, so that's pretty much, my perspective on meditation. Like, for me, I like to try to demystify shit as much as possible, because a lot of times people think meditation is some higher calling shit, and if when you do it, you become a holier than thou type. I know motherfuckers think they become a holier than thou type motherfucker when they meditate, because they do that shit when they pray. Like, I pray every night. I'm a prayer warrior. I'm do this. No, nobody give a fuck. Shit. That shit doesn't make you some kind of mystical, sci-fi, supernatural being. You feel me? You're still living the human experience. You're still the soul living the human experience. But when you're meditating, you bridge the gap between your physical and your soul and your material and immaterial worlds, because you're speaking, which is the prayer. It's not just praying to, like, that's everything you say has power to it. Everything you say reaches the universe in some way, shape, or form. And it's going to come back to you. You feel what I'm saying? So when you meditate, you're able to get the messages back to you. You feel me? So, like I like to demystify the shit, because, I tell people that I meditate, and then they assume you know, oh, you're very spiritual and you're spiritually sound and shit. I am. But then when they hear me say, oh, you're spiritually sound and shit, or hear some of the shit that I be talking about from my podcast, they'll be like, I thought you were spiritual. I am, motherfucker. I'm not holy. I'm not a saint. I'm not somebody who's above the normal reactions of the world. Just because I meditate and I am spiritually sound, spiritual means balance. And that's another point too. This is a tangent. Spiritual means balance. It doesn't mean above everybody else. You feel what I'm saying? Spirit, the word spirit derives from lung. Not lung. Spirit means breath. Spirit means breath, right? And the reason why spirit means breath, because it represents balance. There's an even flow between your inhale and your exhale, your inspiration and your expiration. That's why when you die, it's called expiring. When something dies, it's called expiring. But when you're motivated or something, it's called inspiring. The breath is now moving in. When it's leaving, the breath is like, you feel me? The life is there. The life is expiring means removing life. You feel me? Inspiring means giving life. But it's really because it's giving breath. You feel me? That's why nothing becomes viable until the breath of life hits it. It's all in the stories. All the shit is there. You feel what I'm saying? But sometimes because we make it so mystical and shit, we can't really get to the point. But anywho, the point of that was to say, when it comes to meditating and shit like that, just take some time to learn how to first, before you even try to get into it, just hop in and say, okay, let me quiet my mind. No, learn how to still your body first. Before you can silence your mind, you must be able to still your body. You feel me? And it's easy to steal the body from the neck down, but it's hard as fuck to steal the body from the neck up. You feel me? Because like I said, we're in that sympathetic state of mind. We're in that sympathetic mode of energy. And in that sympathetic mode of energy, what it causes us to do is be in fight or flight response. You feel me? You probably just forgot the little exercise we just did midway through the podcast about taking your tongue out from the roof of your mouth. It's probably right there right now. Dropping your shoulders, relaxing your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Releasing, unclenching your jaws. You know, unfurling up your lips. Like, you feel me? I mean, not unfurling your lips, unpursing your lips. Relax all of that. You feel me? Even your ears. Your ears might be tense too. Shit. Relax your ears a little bit. Your forehead and your scalp. Relax all of that. Breathe down into your diaphragm. You probably just caught on to the fact that you weren't breathing into your diaphragm, but you've been breathing into your chest this whole time. You feel me? This is why meditation is important, because meditation teaches us how to stay in that state of mind. You feel me? We're always going to be like, you walk out your front door, you turn on the motherfucking news, you look it on Instagram, you're going to be in sympathetic mode. Especially us. Especially us. You feel me? Especially us. Our kids getting... This is not what this episode is supposed to be about, but we're always in a state of sympathetic mode. We've always been here. We're always going to be here. You feel me? For as long as this world is moving the way that it's moving. You feel what I'm saying? But we have to take meditation to that next level to put ourselves in that parasympathetic mode frequently. You feel what I mean? If you go into work, you work 8 hours a day, you're going to be in sympathetic mode. Every day, try to give yourself at least 30 minutes to an hour to be in sympathetic mode. We're not even in parasympathetic mode when we're asleep, which is when we're supposed to be in the motherfucker. Like, you feel me? We've gotten used to being able to sleep through our fight or flight response. You know what that is? That's signs of PTSD. How the fuck do you get functional to where you're able to sleep through a fight or flight? Like, you wouldn't fall asleep in the middle of a fight. I mean, unless you got knocked the fuck out. But you wouldn't just randomly fall asleep in the middle of a fight, would you? But yet, we can go straight to sleep. You feel me? On a couch, whatever it is. And that's why we also sleep so easy. Because we're always in the fight or flight response. And our bodies need rest. Our souls need rest. Our minds need rest. You feel me? And if you're not going to be able to get it just from the natural rhythm of the way the earth is supposed to move, the natural rhythm you're supposed to be in this earth, you got to meditate. And you got to learn how to calm your body down and shift everything to the parasympathetic function. As I said, when you first start meditating, yeah, you're going to go to sleep. Like, you're probably going to go to sleep. When you actually learn to calm your body down, you're going to get sleepy than a motherfucker. Because you never rested before. You never rested. You slept a lot, but you never rested. You're going to yawn. You're going to feel woozy. You're going to feel your back start to dip in and shit. But you got to keep, like, that's the discipline of it. Learning how to stay in parasympathetic mode while you're awake and functioning. I'm telling you, that changes your whole mentality. It changes your whole thought process and your ability to use your mind. You feel what I mean? So I may probably do another one on meditation where I actually go into like my own process. I still got to think about that because my process is different and it takes me to a different space. You feel me? And what's in that space, everybody is not built for. So before I, say, okay, yeah, I'm just going to give you all this information, I'm not trying to fuck nobody up, because I see people, get into, astral projection and different spirit. Like, there's certain spiritual practices you have to be prepared for before you jump into. You feel me? I'm not one of those people who thinks anybody can do everything. Nope. I'm not even going to try to give you that connection, because then you're going to feel it's going to be like it's my fault if some shit fucked up to you and you over there, because your mind isn't built for what you're supposed to see. You feel what I mean? But that's not here and there. So I may do a part 2 to this one day, but for the most part, that's meditation. Don't take the mysticism out of it and just see it for what it is. It's the ability to sit with your thoughts and understand them. You feel me? And peel back the layers. Consider every thought like an onion. Once it comes to you, just start to get to the core of the onion. Yeah, it's going to direct you to other places. Yeah, it's going to say, okay, I'm starting with thought 1 and now I'm on thought 27, but now it's taking me back to thought 8, because your mind is a web and it's connecting different things. Because you may have asked the universe for something. You've been directed to certain things in your life, on a regular basis, like going here, but you never paid attention to the moment. You never paid attention to the opportunity that was presenting itself. And then all of a sudden, that's why they say hindsight is 20/20. You're like, oh shit, that's what that was. Had you meditated, you probably would have seen it a long time ago. Had you been meditating and understood that, okay, I'm dealing with this thought, I'm dealing with that thought, I'm dealing with that thought, then, when you come out of it, you're good. And I end with this. Another important piece: after you meditate, write down whatever it is that came to you. Learn to keep a journal and a running log of the shit that you get out of your head. That helps it stay out of your head too when you write it down. You feel what I'm saying? And it reaffirms it and confirms that what you're saying has come into reality, or will be coming to reality. Now, this is not, again, no mystical shit. You feel me? To where it's like, oh, I'm going to meditate on getting this new car and this, that, and the third, and then the next week you think you're going to get a new car. No, there's levels to the shit and there's steps that have to occur. You feel what I'm saying? It may be, okay, you may think I want this particular car, and then a series of events may happen that leads you to getting to that car. And it's not just A to B. You feel me? It may be something as simple as, okay, you get a promotion at work. All right, you say you want a new car, right? Bam. You get a promotion at work. You feel me? Once you get that promotion at work, it allows you to build onto your resume, right? From building onto your resume, now you need, now you decide you want to go for a pay raise at your job. The job says, okay, we don't have that in the budget, whatever the case may be. So now okay, cool. You apply for another job. You get the other job. That job gives you a 5K bonus or some shit, like a 5K increase to what you were making then, right? Bam. You get into that job. You build the stability within that job. 6 months in, you get another promotion, and now you get a little bit more money. And then now the opportunity to get a car comes. You feel me? It's not always point A to point B. So, you feel me? Like I said, you got to remove the mysticism from the shit and realize that certain things play out when you decide to conspire with the universe to work in your favor. Feel me? So what you speak, you don't have to meditate, and you have to listen to be guided to the right direction to where you're supposed to go. You feel me? When you start doing that, that's when manifestation happens, and that's what it is. But meditation helps you get your mind right, so that way you can bridge the gap between the physical and the spiritual, the material and immaterial worlds, and you're able to center. So take some time, practice meditation. Start off 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes at a time, and don't try to force it. Just let what happens happen. But get used to calming your body down. Get used to calming your mind down. And then you start to see things expand. Don't try to quiet your mind. Let whatever comes to your mind come to you, and you deal with that shit. And then when you deal with it, you watch how shit unfolds. You feel what I'm saying? And then afterwards, write it down. So that's meditation. That's my take on meditation. You feel me? That's how I meditate, and, more or less, and the different things that manifest for me. Well, I ain't really say shit about it manifest for me, so I don't know why I said that. But yeah. take some time with your motherfucking mind and shit, and just clear your thoughts out. At this point, I'm just rambling, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. As always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_. Follow the Justine Podcast at the Justine Podcast. Follow the merchandise page at Justine's Merch. If you're trying to transition into the plant-based lifestyle, follow the Hitting the Raw program and get the ebook Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. Also, be sure to get So Frail Reality to Black Male Masculinity and So Frail to Toxic Femininity, and also check out the So Frail Conversations that usually drop on Saturdays, unless, you know, my human side kicks in and something happens and I can't get it done. But all in all, check those out. And lastly, you know, I always accept support for the podcast, so we can, you know, expand and grow and continue to move forward. So all of the things that I have listed are in the description to your podcast. All you have to do is click the links and go. So with that being said, thank you to the I'm drawing a blank on the word that I'm trying to use. Thank you to the person who recommended this be a topic. That's really not what I want to say, but yeah, but much appreciation. As I said, I always take suggestions and everything like that. And, you know, if I can make it a topic, I'll make it a topic. If not, we'll see where it goes. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this shit up because I'm pretty much done. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Live, love, laugh, and go kiss your babies, and don't do nothing stupid. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.